welcome back to Let's Play Katawa Shoujo. You know, for some reason I was tempted to say, welcome back to Let's Play Katawa Shoujo 2, and then I was like, what? That doesn't even make sense. What? Wait, why would I think that? Oh, yeah, because I haven't freaking recorded that in a couple of days. I'm not going to mention what it is, but it's one of the LPs for October. But it's essentially a sequel to a game I've played before, essentially, but that's all I'll say about that one. Till, whatever. Because it'll be spoilers otherwise for October, but anyways, blah blah, blah blah, blah 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 blah. But for me, Hanako is the only one left, obviously waiting for Lilly. It's weird that Lilly comes all the way to our classroom to pick her up. I expect that moving around is at least normally harder for her than it is for Hanako. But it's none of my business, and I naturally don't think about it from Hanako. Despite the relative proximity of our seats, neither tries to strike up a conversation about that or anything else either. So an oppressive silence falls upon the classroom. Time passes in silence. It's probably just 15 minutes or so, but it feels longer. I turn pages of my notebook. Hanako turns pages of the novel she's reading. I paper just when I was about to finish a paragraph. The sound of my irritated sigh and subsequent fumbling around for a sharpener feel like they're breaking the mood in the classroom. Hanako keeps her eyes firmly away from my direction. Before long, Lily's tall figure appears in the doorway. Hanako. Her name is all it takes to make Hanako jump up from her desk and run to Lilly. They talk quietly for a moment, but it isn't long before Lilly leaves down the hall and Hanako idles back into the classroom, taking her seat once again. I watch Hanako out of the corner of my eye out of sheer curiosity at the idea that the two would be separated. For a couple of minutes, she does nothing but sit with her chin in her hands, staring at the desk dejectedly. The boredom evidently becomes too much for her though, her sleight of hand reaching into her bag and pulling out a small book. Come to think of it, this isn't the one I saw her reading at the library. She must be quite a fast reader to get through them at this rate. But why would Lilly leave her to her own devices? It seems to be quite out of the ordinary, going by Hanako's reaction. Ah, that's right. I think Lilly mentioned something about going into town today before Rin bumped into us. The thought of that walk makes me look outside. Wait, back up. What was that about Rin? Mentioned something about going into town today before... you must be referring to... I don't know. Maybe she said in the previous part that she was also going into town the next day as well, because they're just like... If that was on the same day, like, that doesn't make sense, because that was the night, man, middle of the night when they got back. Unless they went into the early hours of the morning, but I highly doubt it. The thought of that walk makes me look outside. The bright sun and occasional people wandering around and enjoying the afternoon make me yearn to get out of school, or at least do something other than sit here. Humiliatingly, one of my worst vices, procrastination. I decide that history is a subject best studied on a Sunday, or a Monday, or on any other day than this one. What? You decide that history is a subject best studied on a Sunday or a Monday. Wait, is that the class he's in right now then? Well, history's interesting, man. Well, I suppose it all depends, really. I mean, some history can be boring. Some can be interesting, and hey, history can be boring if the person teaching you it isn't really teaching it in a specific way. It's like, makes me think of science, for example. When I watch Cosmos, Carl Sagan's Cosmos, it seems all very interesting. And like, when it's like taught in that kind of way, it really grabs your interest, but usually it's just like, just like teacher would be just like, just look in the book and turn this, you know. I didn't really study science much in school because, you know, I had to be taught at home. I said this a billion times, and from that I didn't really learn much about science. So what I know about science is mostly simply just from my own research occasionally and all that. But anyways, I find history pretty interesting, but some history can be kind of... but some of it's pretty interesting. I give a grunt as I lever myself out of my seat, briefly debating with myself whether or not to hang out with Kenji. He doesn't strike me as the enjoying the nice weather outside with others kind of person. Really? Well, I guess I'll catch up with him later. Changing text, I briefly entertain the idea of talking with Hanago. By the time I look at her seat, it's vacant. She must have left for the library. There's got to be something to do that can kill the time. Well, we could go to the library and start Hanago's route. Oh wait, we've already done that route, obviously. So we're going for a walk into town, which I have not ever done, I don't think, because I've never tried to get Lily's route before. At least I don't think so. I've definitely not been for a route, but I'm not sure if maybe I tried to get her a route at one point. Probably not. And again, when I first played this, I got Hanako's route. Like the very first time I played it. I think I used to walk through once I was Hanako's route, like a bit into it. But like from my own choices I end up on her route. But anyways, it's got nothing to do with this. Because we're going in the opposite direction. Let's go for a walk into town. Pulling a Hanako to the library seems a bit intrusive, although you've already done that before. There was reason she left the classroom after all. That aside, I do want to catch up with Lily. At the very least, I'd like to thank her for looking out for me despite her other obvious taxing duties. I guess we'll walk around town. With any luck, I should be able to find Lily. The exercise will do me some good as well. You know, speaking of exercise, I went to the freaking gym yesterday, I think? Yeah, it was yesterday. First time in a long time, and my god, I freaking was freaking knackered. I went into the gym with this kind of attitude. It's like, you know what? Fuck it. I'll just, do whatever. Go on equipment after equipment. Let's do this shit. And I was freaking exhausted after just freaking, less than 30 minutes. Like, fuck this, man. I feel like I'm gonna pass out. I was like, didn't even use the treadmill, because for once the treadmills were all freaking in use. So I did the cycling thing for a couple of minutes, that was alright. Then I did my usual thing, I forget what the machine's called, but it's like the equivalent of taking the pedals of a bike and freaking moving them with your hands. I don't know what the machine's called. But I did that for like 15 minutes and I was just like, fuck. I am freaking so out of my pattern with that, because that's what I'd always do, 15 minutes on that, but I felt freaking knackered after that, like, So yeah, but a bit of exercise here and there is good and all that. I've been meaning to freaking go to the gym, but the thing is, my sleeping pattern's usually either crap, or I simply just can't bear us when I could, potentially, you know? Walking through the school courtyard to the gate, I give a small nod to a couple of passing classmates. The gesture being returning. No, it didn't go without returning kind. Even from here, the shouts of the sports club members can be heard. From the sheer volume of the din, the trek must be packed right now. I remember what Lily said yesterday about being dropped right in the middle of a busy time for school. Well, I'm trying to get my bearings and catch up on study that I've missed. Everyone else is doing non-school activities. The feeling of being a foreigner still hasn't dissipated, at least not yet. Well, I guess not everything's bad. This is a private school, and that much is easily noticed when walking around outside. Not only are the school grounds huge, but the buildings themselves are immaculate and quite divorced from the dime a dozen concrete blocks of public schools. There's also the fact that there's a much stronger feeling of community here, at least a friendlier atmosphere. In my old school, it was generally accepted that people would keep their little clique and be done with it. Eventually I reached the gates and began to walk down the road and into town. Well, that was fairly productive. Having seen a fair portion of town, even including the houses perched on the hills around the outskirts, I decided to take a walk around the park before heading back. Living in the city all my life, the total lack of smartly dressed businessmen and fashionably dressed girls strikes me as incredibly unusual. All that's to be seen are the odd elderly person shuffling along the sidewalk and assorted busily chatting pairs of middle-aged women outside of small storefronts. This is spot on, man. This is freaking spot on description. Like I said, I live in a village, and like this is a small countryside town here, but same kind of atmosphere, you know. That's always the case. You always see middle-aged women just like chatting in the middle of a street, or like just gathered around somewhere. It's always the case. Walking along the road to the park quickly distracts me from them, though, making me realize that I perhaps pushed myself further than I should have done to see as much as I could. As my breaths begin to wheeze and my chest tightens more and more, I give up on the prospect of soldiering on. After a quick glance around the park as I enter, I take a seat on a wobbly old bench that I notice near a couple of vending machines. For minutes on end, I sit with my head bent over and force myself to take deep breaths. I feel more like an old man than a teenager who should be in the prime of his life. The stay in hospital, the surgery and the medications must be taking a toll on me. Damn it. Eventually my breathing returns to normal and the muscles in my chest loosen. Not bad, a fair measure of relief. I guess this means the end of my little sojourn though, in any case, or whatever. Wait, oh no, it's freaking kanji, isn't it? Son of a bitch. You and your... That probably just says cafe or something, doesn't it? Cafe, cafe, cafe! We put 3 signs because, you know, we wanted to point out that this is a cafe. It probably says, oh, maybe just says Shanghai, I don't know. But it probably just says cafe or something along those lines. We got, no, nothing. Absolutely nothing. Can you at least freaking, just, why? I want to put my freaking learning to use, damn it! Did I miss out a line there? There's a cafe on the far corner, so I'll stop by to quench my thirst before heading back. Wait. Oh yeah, because he hasn't gone to the Shanghai yet in this route. This feels weird, we've come to the Shanghai so many times. You know, what does Shanghai mean anyway? Because I don't really know what that actually means. I remember typing into Google and he's just like, okay, what does this mean in English? Shanghai. What does it mean? Damn it, I wanted a translation of what the meaning of it is. Don't get that though. A little bell above the door signals my arrival to an empty counter. For a few moments I stand there waiting, my eyes every now and again drifting from one end of the counter to the other, searching for a service bell. Eventually a door some ways behind the counter opens, the person emerging from it taking me by complete surprise. Oh my god, you mean she works at the Shanghai? Oh my god, I totally would not have seen that coming if not for the fact that I've played through this so many times. Well, not in Lilly's route, but... well, this scene will be different, I suppose. But still, every time. Yuuko? Hi, I had no idea you worked here. I really have no idea how to address her either, given that she is technically school staff as well as, apparently, a waitress. Yes, She quickly paced up to the counter before flinging her upper half downwards in an overreacted bow. Welcome to the Shanghai, may I take your order? Straight down to business, I see. I know, well, some coffee, please. Yes, certainly, I'll make it right away and bring it to you when it's done. Thanks. Yuuko's formality takes me aback. She seems to take her job very seriously. Obeying her instructions, I turn around and quickly glance around for a free table. Considering the cafe seems to be empty, this is a simple task to accomplish. As I walk towards a table adjacent to the window, I notice a flash of yellow around one of the table dividers. I wonder what that could mean! Obvious. Sure enough, no more than a glance is needed to ascertain that it's a certain center at the table. That said, I don't recognize the suited figure across the table from her. What if it was like, oh wait, actually, Shizune runs into her and just like, actually, that could potentially add up, but still, it was obvious he was going to run into Lilly in town eventually. Blonde, fair-skinned, and only a little shorter. I think she must be a relative. Since the two of them are all but silent as the suited figure takes a swig from my cup of coffee, I decided to greet Lilly. Some part of my coming here was in order to meet her after all. Hi, Lilly.
Hisao.
Yeah, nice to see you again. The city girl looks up, noting my uniform with a relaxed smile. Know each other? I guess. It's as good as approximation of our relationship as I can think of.
Care to take a seat?
She says this to the air beside me, but the message is clear enough when I take a seat beside her.
I suppose some introductions might be in order. So, this is Akira Sato, my older sister. Akira, this is Hisao Nakai, an Oyamaka student.
Looks like my guess was correct. The newly introduced Akira gives a nod, which I return. You know what? That story that I've mentioned I don't even know how many times I've been writing. One of the characters actually has that name. I mean, not the last name, but the first name, Akira. And personality-wise, how different would they be? Well, trying to kind of like try to compare characters from this visual novel to that. I feel like maybe like Akira right here mixed with Misha, and maybe mixed with someone else as well. Sort of would be like how the character is. Very kind of comedic character for the most part, despite the theme of the story, essentially. Which you're just like, well, you gotta have some light-hearted character, but obviously, I don't know. Which I return. What I don't return, however, is the almost analytical gaze with which she looks me over. As she does so, Yuuko walks up to the table and carefully places the coffee on the table before bowing and taking her leave. Gently bringing my hand to the side of the cup, I realize that it's already at just the right temperature to drink. After taking a sip, the flavor turns out to be just as good as the temperature. Yuuko seems a lot better at this than being a librarian. I take a good long drink before relaxing into the seat. It takes mere seconds for Akira's examination to come to an end. Finally becoming quickly bored with the activity, she turns to her sister. So how's school recently? It seems Akira is entirely unconcerned with someone she doesn't know at all listening to everything they say. Not that I mind, leaving them to their chattering. I sit back and continue drinking a pleasantly aromatic coffee. Sounds like it's pretty busy for you then.
At least I'm not cooking your meals after school anymore.
As they talk, I slowly realize that I'm entirely unable to gauge Lily's emotions through her eyes, as I would for any other person. It becomes slightly unsettling as I subconsciously focus on that fact. Whoa, so cold. Weren't you just cooking for yourself anyway? I only ever got leftovers.
That's not the point. Are you managing to feed yourself at least? And that bird is always chirping like crazy.
I can cook without blowing myself up, you know. Mostly.
That's...
It's fine. I need to learn sometime anyway.
Lilly?
Everyone present is momentarily distracted by Yuuko, who placed a cup of tea on the table for Lilly. Taking a moment to glance at her watch, Akira levers herself off her seat and gives me a quick nod. Well, I'd better be off. It was nice talking to you, Lilly.
Akira, do you have to...
Lilly looks gently mournful at her sister suddenly leaving. It does seem like she might have the wrong idea. Sorry, I need to get back to work. They'll be on my neck again if I don't make it back quickly. So informal, Akira's trim and tidy appearance would give anyone the wrong impression of her.
Bye, Akira.
Come on, don't look so down. I'll be around again soon. See us. With that, she waltzes out of the Shanghai with her hand held high. Lily still looks pretty depressed, so I try to make some small token effort to take her mind off it. She seems nice.
We used to live together, but now that I live at school, we hardly ever see each other.
Despite Lily having been quite affable, I still don't really know much about her. In hindsight, it's surprising just how much she's extracted from me, really. You used to live together. Was it somewhere around here?
It was pretty far south, so the trip into Yamaku was fairly long. With her working hours getting longer and Yamaku being so far away, there was little choice in the end but to move into the dormitories.
Well, that explains the chatter about cooking. Evidently regaining her composure, she livens back up, at least in part.
I take it you're better rested now.
Sorry?
You sound less exhausted than you did when you first came in.
To be able to pick up my breathing like that, she must have pretty good ears. Well, I'd imagine that's a natural thing. If you're blind, your other senses would have to be heightened for it to compensate. Yeah, I ended up walking all over town, despite only planning on taking a short walk down here. Reminded of my first from the walk, I lean forward to take a sip. Reminded of my own first, I shall get a can. Be right back. Alrighty. There's a cat in my room now, and you know something about this cat? This cat is a total mimic. It's like, it mimics other pets we have. Like, one thing I've noticed is taking after the puppy, because now she bites me all the damn time. Well, not all the time, but if she gets close, she'll try to bite me. She bites everything. Like, tries to bite freaking leads and stuff, and it's like, no, don't do that. You crazy little shits. Anyways, without further ado, Lily starts on her cup of strong smelling tea. I guess I'd better get going back to Yamaku. It's only so long I can stall studying for, and I want to get a good night's sleep before the festival. Ha 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 ha. A good night's sleep before something. Does such a thing even exist? Seriously, well, he probably finds sleep much easier than me, which is totally unrealistic. But maybe it's just me, and it can't just be me. There are plenty of people in the world that have the same problem. When you have to be awake at a certain time, getting sleep suddenly becomes nearly impossible. It's such a pain in the ass. You can only really sleep, like, if you, like, not really, you know, have anything to do when you, like, a specific time you gotta be awake by. Otherwise, your sleeping just becomes a pain in the ass. It's like sleeping at any time you feel like it's easy. Just like, as long as you're not, like, planning on a specific point to wake up or anything. Then you'll just sleep more naturally, much easier. But when it's like, oh, I've got to be up in the morning, go to sleep in the night, and then it's like 5 a.m. and I'm still awake. I hate it. Just trying to sleep through the night never works. I did that, well, I actually did manage to, just about, last night. Like, I was tired, I'd been up all day, so it was like, I thought, yeah, good work. Fell asleep. About an hour later, woke up, was like, ah, for fuck's sake, went back to sleep. Another hour later, wake up, was like, ah, for fuck's sake. Just like, then I go back to sleep, and then, finally, a couple hours sleep. Rather than just 1 hour, and then waking up, and then another hour. It's a pain in the ass. So essentially, good night's sleep does not exist when you have to wake up at a certain time, usually. Standing from my seat, I take the coffee stained cup from the table. You're leaving? Yeah, you going to head back as well? It's getting kind of late. For a moment she pauses before lifting her face over her teacup as if she was looking at me. Yuuko, could we have one more coffee, please? Okay, I'll bring it right away. That's not subtle. She gives a short giggle at my frank assessment of her maneuver. It's surprisingly childish and carefree, given her otherwise collected appearance. In the end, though, I have little reason to refuse. To be honest, I can hardly say no, all things considered. Given the manufactured sigh, I take a seat opposite her. Wanting company, then? I'd say that it's more that I was wondering. I see, she's in questioning mode again. She does seem to be unusually interested in me, or at least curious. What the hell is that cat trying to do? The cats just have a kind of attitude where they just like, they've got to get into pretty much every cramped space. It's the same with boxes, really, with cats, isn't it? Just like, oh, a box! Oh, fuck, I'll freaking just climb into that box. It's just like, that always a thing, you know, like, set traps for various things and all that. All you need for a cat is just a box. You don't even need to put anything under the box. They'll go, they'll probably knock it over themselves. You put it up with a stick or something, you'd be like, nah, they'll knock the stick out of the way, turn the box over and just climb in. Just like, well, we could have just left the box out. I don't know. Just, yeah, she's gone right behind my freaking, I don't even know if you could call it a cupboard. Well, she's gonna knock over the bins. No, don't do it. You silly cat. There's not, well, there are stuff behind it, but there's nowhere to really go. It's cramped. More cramped than under the bed. What are you doing? You can't even see any of this. So, back to the plot.
Do you have any siblings?
Not exactly an unexpected tangent. No, only child, to be honest. The idea of having someone that close makes me a bit envious. Wait, only child, to be honest, the idea of having someone that close makes me a bit envious. Oh, is he talking about Lilly and her sister then? I have a brother and sister, and we're not really all that different age-wise. I'm the oldest, brother, then sister, like I find it odd, like with some siblings, like you could have someone that's like, say, 10 years old, and then someone that's like 19 years old, like a 9-year difference between. It's just like the parents are just like, oh, let's have a kid, then 9 years later suddenly it's like, hey, let's have another one. I don't know.
Interesting.
I raise an eyebrow, which of course goes unseen. The short silence communicates the question well enough.
It's just that others have said the same thing before. It's a difficult subject to try and think about objectively, given that I've always had someone like that.
I can mostly understand what Lilly means, given that it would be hard to place oneself outside of a situation they've been in all their life. I can't really imagine being an only child. She and her sister must have a pretty close relationship. And, you know, I wonder if they had the traditional kind of sibling kind of thing as kids, where they fight each other and all that. And then it kind of mellows out as they get older. That's pretty much how me and my siblings were. Just like fighting, and now just kind of mellow and chill. Just like pretty much close, but you know, no real fighting or anything like it was like back in the day. My brother would always wind me up, and like I remember like he'd like always wind me up and like freaking rush to the bathroom because it was the only room in the door in the house that had a lock on it, just so he could like wind me up and get away with it. And I just like slam my freaking elbow into the door and just like end up leaving dents in the door, all kinds of shit. It just like pissed me off back in the day. But anyways, rambling. Taking pains to interrupt us as little as possible. Yuuko dutifully comes over and places a cup on the table. Lily thanks her as I sit back, taking in this vexing girl in front of me. Despite always seeming to be on her guard and in control of herself when talking to others, she has an almost childlike curiosity about all people. That said, those rare moments she seems to slightly lower her guard are the most insightful into how she thinks. What are you doing, cat? Reaching forward for my drink, I realized something I probably should have noticed earlier. I think I'm starting to become kind of curious about her. Despite making a good face, it's already nightfall by the time I reach the large iron gates in front of the school. While it's nice to have plenty of time to wander around by virtue of living right next to the school, I can't help but get the feeling that very few students actually take the opportunity. Compared to the number of students I see milling around on campus during free time, it's startlingly rare to see anyone around town. Given the large number of accommodations and facilities that the school offers, many of them might simply not see any point in venturing outside, let alone people such as Hanako and Kenji. Makes me wonder if students like Shizune, Misha, and Lilly are the exceptions with this school rather than the dorm. As I wander back to my dorm room, a cat approaches. I continue to compare my old school with Yuuko. As I do so, I begin to be surprised that I managed to get even this used to everything that's happened to me. master included every time I have to go do every time.